We're joined now by Colter Chitwood, who is a wildlife professor here at Oklahoma State University. And Colter, we're talking chronic wasting disease right now, and there was a case that was found recently close to Oklahoma, so let's talk about that.
Yeah, there was a vehicle-killed white-tailed doe in Texas that was tested positive for CWD, and because it was within 5 miles, it was actually about 2.5 miles from the Oklahoma border, the state of Oklahoma is treating it as if it was inside our borders, which is what's activated the chronic wasting disease response plan that folks have been hearing about in the last couple weeks.
So over the years, we've talked about CWD here on Sunup, but let's give a quick overview of what this disease is and why it's so concerning.
Yeah, so CWD is a always fatal degenerative neurological disease of ungulates. So white-tailed deer, mule deer, elk, moose, caribou, they're all susceptible. The good news is for folks that are out in the Panhandle area, the pronghorn are not susceptible, or at least there's no evidence they are. But it's basically a long-term condition that results in death for the individual, and there is no vaccine or treatment. And it kind of turns their brain to Swiss cheese, that's what people say, but it's caused by a malformed prion. And so, yeah, it can be heck on deer populations.
So how does it spread, and what are some things that people need to keep in mind when it comes to CWD?
Yeah, so CWD spreads among deer through direct contact, but increasingly there's evidence that it spreads through the environment with potentially through feces, saliva, possibly urine. So even deer that are in an area where other infected deer have been could be susceptible that way, say like from areas that they're foraging in or whatever. But from a human perspective, the good news is right now there's no evidence that it actually jumps the species barrier. That said, most places, and you follow the links that we'll provide at the end of this, are going to suggest hunters should not consume meat from a sick deer or a deer that's known to be positive.
And you mentioned that there was a CWD response to this case that was close to Oklahoma, or considered actually in Oklahoma. So what does that entail?
What it entails usually is the state is now going to perhaps put more effort into monitoring in that immediate area. That could be through communications from ODWC with hunters, maybe trying to submit heads. So you say a hunter harvests a deer, well, there's ways that you can submit samples to cooperate with ODWC to get additional tests in that area. That would be one way. Increased communication about how to dispose of carcasses. In general, it's always best not to just go to the nearest bridge and dump it in a creek. We don't want you to do that anytime, but you certainly don't want to do that with CWD. So there's going to be increased communication about that as well, I'm sure.
So definitely a concern, but maybe not something to be overly concerned with.
Correct. It's early yet, which is good, but increased testing in that area will give the state a better sense of whether or not CWD is highly prevalent in that area near the Panhandle. And because it doesn't jump to humans, we just want to tell hunters to be cautious, to be aware that the human version of this, the fancy term is transmissible spongiform encephalopathy. The human version of CWD, it would be fatal to humans as well. The thing is, CWD has not been shown to cross into humans. It also has not been shown to cross to livestock. So for livestock producers in those areas, and like pronghorn that we talked about before, there's no known jump yet, but we want to be aware of that because most of the viewers have probably heard of mad cow disease. Well, that's another one that's in the same family of diseases.
All right, thanks, Colter. It's good to have you on. And for more information about chronic wasting disease, go to our website, sunup.okstate.edu.